The flashing red and blue lights sliced through the Arizona dawn like a cheap alarm clock nobody asked for. 2 squad cars crooked in our driveway at 6:12 a.m. My wife Rebecca stood there in handcuffs, cool as desert morning coffee, while Vanessa Whitaker smirked from her porch like she just won the HOA lottery and a lifetime supply of beige paint. Then Becca flashed her badge, and the entire Oak Ridge Villas watched their clipboard-wielding queen realize she just called the cops on a real Department of Justice agent. What happens when the neighborhood busybody tries to arrest the wrong woman for the wrong crime? Stick around because this story doesn't end with cuffs on my wife. It ends with them on the woman who thought bylaws were her personal throne. Let me back up 18 months to when paradise turned into a beige-colored nightmare. I'm Logan Reeves, 46, Navy vet turned cybersecurity consultant who figured Oak Ridge Villas outside Phoenix would be the quiet life after 20 years of deployments. Boy was I wrong. Becca, Special Agent Rebecca Reeves, DOJ Financial Crimes Division, had spent 15 years chasing money launderers and white-collar crooks who thought they were untouchable. To the rest of Oak Ridge, though, she was just the unemployed woman who slept till noon and drove different unmarked sedans like she was starring in her own cop show. Oak Ridge Villas was one of those planned communities where conformity wasn't optional. It was enforced with fines that could bankrupt a small country. Every lawn exactly 2 inches, every mailbox regulation beige, every American flag hung at the precise 45-degree angle spelled out in the 200-page CC&RS. The morning air always smelled like fresh-cut Bermuda grass mixed with the quiet desperation of people praying their property values stayed high enough to justify the madness. And reigning over it all was Vanessa Whitaker, our HOA president and professional life ruiner. Vanessa was 59, retired bank exec who'd traded boardrooms for bylaws and decided the neighborhood was her new kingdom. Picture a woman in a perpetual pink tracksuit, clipboard glued to her hand like a medieval mace, patrolling the streets every morning at 7 o'clock sharp in her golf cart that she'd had custom-painted Peach Grove Patrol, even though we weren't in Peach Grove. The whine of that little electric motor became our daily alarm clock, and Becca's personal soundtrack of impending doom. From day one, Vanessa zeroed in on Becca like a heat-seeking missile. See, when you run undercover financial crimes ops, your life doesn't scream suburban soccer mom. Becca left at midnight for stakeouts, crashed till noon, rotated government vehicles, and occasionally came home wearing gear that could stop a bullet. To Vanessa's narrow little worldview, this could only mean one thing: trouble. I'm just saying, Vanessa would stage whisper to anyone within earshot while inspecting our lawn, "Normal people have normal jobs. What kind of woman drives a different car every week and sleeps all day? Makes you wonder what she's really doing for money." The implication hung in the dry air thicker than monsoon humidity. Thick, uncomfortable, and impossible to ignore. The paranoia hit critical mass when Becca caught a huge cryptocurrency fraud case. More late nights, more tactical vests, more clipped federal speak on the phone. To Becca it was Tuesday. To Vanessa it was proof the apocalypse had arrived in a government sedan. The breaking point came on a crisp October morning. Becca was running legitimate surveillance from our driveway, sitting in her unmarked car, tactical vest under a light jacket, earpiece barely visible, when Vanessa spotted her and decided this was the world's most elaborate game of dress-up. 20 minutes later she was pounding on my door like she was serving a warrant from God himself. "This ends today, Logan," Vanessa hissed, face flushed the same shade as her tracksuit, looking like an angry flamingo with a grudge. "I don't know what sick fantasy your wife is living, but impersonating a federal officer is a crime. I've documented everything: the costume, the fake radio, the suspicious vehicles. She's destroying our property values with this nonsense." She thrust a bright orange violation notice at me like it was divorce papers. 24 hours to make Becca stop the charade, or the real police would be called. Fine $500 a day. I tried the diplomatic route. "Vanessa, I think there's been a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," she snapped, eyes glittering with righteous fury. "I've watched enough true crime shows to know exactly what this is." That evening Becca read the notice and started laughing, the low, dangerous kind that usually meant someone's world was about to get interesting. 15 years taking down actual federal criminals," she said, wiping tears. "And I get cited for looking like myself. Priceless." Neither of us realized Vanessa's obsession was about to expose crimes that made Becca's caseload look like overdue library books. Vanessa didn't waste time turning her personal vendetta into a full community crusade. Within 48 hours she'd scheduled an emergency board meeting and hired an attorney at $300 an hour. The certified letter that arrived was thicker than a phone book and smelled like expensive regret. Notice of formal HOA hearing, ongoing criminal impersonation violations. 3 pages of legalese demanding Becca cease all law enforcement cosplay or face a lien on our house. My Navy training kicked in hard. When someone starts swinging legal paperwork like a club, you read the fine print like your life depends on it. I cracked open the CC and RS over strong coffee and found gold on page 47. Section 4.3. No president could authorize legal expenses over $250 without a majority board vote. Vanessa had blown past that limit solo. Even better, Section 7.1 made board members personally liable for unauthorized spending. I fired off a polite countercomplaint to the management company the same afternoon, citing both violations and demanding Vanessa reimburse the community out of her own pocket. Meanwhile, the neighborhood Facebook group had turned into digital trench warfare. Vanessa posted carefully cropped photos of Becca in tactical gear with captions like "Community safety concerns. When does roleplay become dangerous?" The comments section split like a bad divorce. Team Vanessa shared horror stories about declining values. Team Becca pointed out we had the nicest lawn on the block and minded our own business. Vanessa's masterstroke was the community safety discussion flyer she shoved under every door for Sunday evening. The wording was pure gold. Protecting our investment from disruptive elements. Code for let's publicly shame the Reeves family. Becca and I decided to attend. Might as well watch the train wreck up close. The community center smelled like burnt coffee and broken dreams under buzzing fluorescent lights. 30 residents showed up, tension thick enough to spread on toast. Vanessa had prepared an actual PowerPoint, slides titled Signs of Criminal Activity and Protecting Your Investment. She was mid-rant about Becca's suspicious patterns when Becca's phone rang. Her supervisor, clipped federal speak. Surveillance resumes at 0600, asset placement confirmed. Vanessa's eyes lit up like she'd won the lottery. Did everyone hear that? Military time. Surveillance talk. This is exactly the dangerous behavior I've been warning you about. A few neighbors nodded nervously. Others shifted in their folding chairs like they wanted to disappear. Becca returned, genuinely puzzled by the sudden Arctic chill in the room. Everything okay? Oh, everything's perfect, Vanessa replied, smile sharp enough to cut glass. I was just explaining how seriously the FBI takes federal impersonation crimes. Becca raised an eyebrow at me. The universal wife signal for what fresh hell is this? You know what, Vanessa? She said calmly. You should absolutely call the FBI. I think they'd be very interested. Vanessa's grin widened. Don't worry, honey. I plan to. As we walked home under the desert stars, Becca shook her head. 15 years chasing real criminals and this woman thinks I'm playing dress-up. I squeezed her hand. She had no idea what was coming. And neither did Vanessa, because while she was busy preparing to report a federal agent, her own financial house of cards was about to collapse in spectacular fashion. Monday morning hit with the kind of desert heat that makes sane people stay indoors. Vanessa wasn't sane. At 8:47 a.m., because of course she logged the exact time, she marched into the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office like a woman on a divine mission. She filed a formal report accusing Becca of federal impersonation and ongoing criminal enterprise. I know because Officer Rodriguez called me that afternoon, barely containing laughter. Logan, I gotta ask, your wife isn't running some elaborate con, right? Because this lady just dropped a 3-ring binder that could prosecute a small country. Vanessa had spent the weekend creating what she called her evidence portfolio. Time-stamped photos of Becca in tactical gear, logs of her comings and goings, pictures of different government plates, transcripts of overheard phone calls. She basically built a federal case against a federal agent. The irony was so thick you could spread it on toast and serve it at the next board meeting. She's demanding immediate arrest, Rodriguez continued. Says Rebecca poses a clear and present danger to property values. I've seen creative complaints, but this one's Hall of Fame material. Here's what Vanessa never understood. When someone reports federal impersonation, the first thing cops do is run the vehicle. Becca's sedan came back flagged as an active DOJ asset. Rodriguez showed up at our door 2 hours later trying not to grin. "Ma'am, mind if I see some ID?" Becca wiped rose garden dirt off her gloves and produced the badge and credentials. Dispatch confirmed in 30 seconds. Rodriguez's shoulders relaxed. "Ma'am, I apologize for the intrusion. Filing false reports against federal agents carries up to 5 years under Title 18. Becca kept it professional. "I'm not looking to press charges." She seems confused. "With respect, ma'am, this wasn't confusion. This was 3 days of deliberate fabrication." From her kitchen window, Vanessa watched Rodriguez shake Becca's hand, laugh at something she said, and drive away. The cognitive dissonance must have tasted like battery acid. That evening she returned with reinforcements. Harold from down the street and Mrs. Patterson from the corner, both looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. "I saw the police were here," Vanessa announced, vibrating with anticipation. "When are they taking her in?" "They're not," I said, savoring every syllable. Turns out Becca actually is a federal agent. Crazy how reality works sometimes. The silence was so complete I heard Mrs. Patterson's hearing aid whistle. Harold actually stepped backward. "That's impossible," Vanessa sputtered. "Real agents don't just, you're all lying." Becca appeared behind me, badge case open. DOJ Criminal Division, badge 847392. "Want to call and verify?" Instead of backing down, Vanessa doubled down. "Then you fooled them too. I'm calling the FBI. They'll see through this." As her little posse retreated, Becca shook her head. "She's about to call the FBI on someone who works with the FBI. This is going to be epic." And it was. Vanessa didn't just call. She filed a 40-page online complaint complete with screenshots, timelines, and Google Maps routes she claimed proved systematic neighborhood infiltration. The FBI Phoenix field office received her masterpiece Thursday morning. By afternoon, Special Agent Thompson was on the phone with Becca. "Agent Reeves, we got an interesting complaint about you today. Mind telling me what case you're on that's attracting civilian attention?" Becca nearly choked on her coffee. "Standard crypto fraud, sir. Nothing operational." Thompson chuckled. "According to Mrs. Whitaker, you're either running a sophisticated criminal ring or the most dedicated method actor in Arizona. She sent enough paper to make our fraud unit cry." While Vanessa was busy filing complaints with every 3-letter agency she could Google, I'd been busy too. My cybersecurity background made reading spreadsheets feel like breathing. The HOA's monthly financials had been nagging at me for weeks. Numbers that didn't add up, like 2 + 2 equaling new golf cart for the president. I started digging. Oak Ridge collected roughly $190,000 a year from 96 homes. Standard expenses: landscaping, pool, insurance. Except Vanessa's report showed consulting fees to Desert Ridge Solutions, $27,000, and enhanced beautification to Pinnacle Services, $34,000. I'd never seen a consultant or a new palm tree. Then came the community credit card statements. Target runs, gas stations, Sedona vacation rentals, all coded as emergency community security. Textbook embezzlement. Fake vendors, self-approved invoices, personal expenses buried under aggressive leadership. Over 2 years she'd skimmed at least $52,000 while deferring maintenance and buying cheap insurance that probably wouldn't cover a stiff breeze. Becca leaned over my shoulder at 2 a.m. "Shell companies, false invoicing, credit card fraud. This is exactly the white-collar theft I prosecute." The irony was almost too perfect. The woman screaming about law and order had been robbing her neighbors blind, while accusing a federal agent of the same thing. I didn't go in guns blazing. I recruited quietly. Roberto Martinez, retired CPA 4 houses down. His eyes lit up like Christmas when he saw the spreadsheets. Sarah Kellerman, former paralegal who knew Arizona theft statutes cold. Tom Bradley, ex-Marine MP who understood chain of custody. Jennifer Walsh, stay-at-home marketing genius who could document everything without tripping legal wires. We built 3 parallel cases: civil recovery, criminal referral, and HOA removal for cause. Every receipt, every bank transfer, every board minute contradiction. By Sunday night we had enough to bury Vanessa twice over. The trap was set. All we had to do was let her spring it on live television. Tuesday night arrived with the electric tension of an approaching monsoon. Vanessa had transformed the community center into her personal courtroom. Projection screen, evidence tables, dramatic lighting, and a court reporter, because she wanted an official transcript of Becca's arrest. She'd invited Channel 12 News, the sheriff's office, and half the neighborhood. The flyer promised Operation Neighborhood Purity, exposing federal corruption. The room packed fast. Residents clutched phones like digital shields. Vanessa stood at the front in full pink regalia. PowerPoint titled, "When Federal Agencies Fail Us." She launched into her presentation with surveillance photos of Becca watering roses in tactical pants. Subject exhibits classic patterns of criminal surveillance behavior, she announced, pointing at Becca deadheading flowers. Mrs. Patterson raised a trembling hand. "Isn't that just yard work?" "Exactly what they want you to think," Vanessa snapped. She unveiled evidence of federal conspiracy. Somehow she'd obtained copies of Becca's work emails through what was probably illegal means, and projected them for everyone to see. "Look at this coded language. Asset placement. Target acquisition. This is clearly criminal communication." Officer Rodriguez stood up. "Ma'am, those look like legitimate federal communications. Where exactly did you obtain them?" Vanessa flushed. "A concerned citizen provided them through proper channels. Intercepting federal emails without authorization is a federal crime." The room temperature dropped 10 degrees. Even her supporters started inching away. Vanessa doubled down, voice cracking with desperation. "I demand immediate arrest of the subject for federal impersonation." That was my cue. Becca stood, badge case open. "Ma'am, I'm Special Agent Rebecca Reeves, Department of Justice, Criminal Investigations Division, badge 847392. Would you like to call headquarters and verify?" The silence was absolute except for the desert wind rattling the windows and the soft whir of the news camera zooming in on Vanessa's face. Her mouth opened and closed like a landed fish. Agent Thompson from the FBI stepped forward. "I can confirm Agent Reeves' credentials. I spoke with her supervisor this afternoon." "Then you're all part of the conspiracy," Vanessa shrieked, fully committed to the abyss. That's when Roberto stood with his forensic report. "While we're on the subject of criminal activity, perhaps we should discuss the $52,000 Mrs. Whitaker has embezzled from community funds over the past 2 years. The room exploded. Residents shouted about missing pool maintenance, dead landscaping, and sudden assessments. The Channel 12 reporter practically tackled Roberto for an interview. Vanessa's face went the color of old drywall. Roberto connected his laptop. Spreadsheets filled the screen. Shell companies registered to her P.O. boxes, inflated invoices, credit card charges at Target and Sedona resorts. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones came out. Someone in the back started recording. Officer Rodriguez stepped forward, hand on his radio. "Mrs. Whitaker, based on the evidence presented, I'm placing you under arrest for theft in the first degree, a Class 3 felony." The handcuffs clicked with the same metallic snap that had started this whole saga. As Rodriguez led Vanessa toward the door, she turned one last time. "This isn't over. When the truth comes out," Becca called sweetly. "Ma'am, the truth did come out. It just wasn't the truth you were expecting." The room erupted in applause. Someone started chanting "Justice," until the whole place joined in. It was the most satisfying sound I'd ever heard. The aftermath played like the best revenge movie ever made. Channel 12 footage went viral by morning. CNN, Fox, every morning show wanted the HOA Karen who tried to arrest a real federal agent and got exposed for stealing from her own neighbors. Vanessa pleaded guilty to avoid federal charges, agreed to full restitution plus penalties totaling $83,000. The community sold her beige fortress to cover everything. Our new board created the Oak Ridge Scholarship Fund with the recovered money. 3 $5,000 awards every year for local kids. Roberto runs transparent accounting, Becca advises on compliance, and the rest of us keep the systems honest. Property values rose 30% because people actually want to live somewhere integrity exists. Last month Becca gave a federal seminar on HOA-related crimes and turned it into neighborhood justice folklore. My cybersecurity consulting business tripled after the story broke. Turns out being the guy who helped take down an embezzling HOA president makes you popular with communities tired of the same nonsense. So here's my question for you. Was Vanessa Whitaker just a concerned citizen trying to protect the community, like she claimed all along? Or was she the real criminal hiding behind a clipboard and a smile? Who was truly in the wrong here? The federal agent quietly doing her job? Or the HOA president stealing $52,000 while accusing everyone else of crime? Drop your take in the comments. I'm dying to know where you stand.